What's up everybody, it is Dankamyouknow and I am back with another video, and what we're going to be doing today is another subscriber milestone video where I showcase all of your guys' setups, because as of recently I hit the 2,500 subscriber mark, and actually as of recording this video I just crossed over 2,600. So if you're looking for some ideas for your setup, stick around because we got a lot of setups to go through. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, so let's start this off with the first setup here. And I'm guessing his name is Oscar by the little license plate he has above his setup. And he's rocking the horizontal and vertical setup, which I really want to try. But with my curved monitors, it just doesn't seem like it would work too well. And his setup appears to be next to his bunk bed, so he can kind of just roll out of bed and start gaming, which is super cool. And I really like this setup for the wallpaper choice and the colors on his keyboard. I think like the light blues and the whites look really good against that white desktop, and just a super clean dual monitor setup. And he has case swapped his obelisk into a Corsair IQ 220T, and he's rocking the big boy Noctua U12S cooler, which is fantastic. And my only recommendation would maybe to put a rear exhaust fan in the back, which maybe could be 120 or 140 millimeters. But even as of now, I'm sure it's running super cool. And the next setup is coming from my boy Brad, and he's rocking the 30L. And I really love his wallpaper choice here. It looks like a throwback to Modern Warfare 2. And if you've ever played Call of Duty with him, you know that he's an absolute beast. And I really love the color of his desk and the shelf over there with his printer on it. And he put a 3070 into his 30L, and he's also rocking the Chromax U9S. And he's got a ton of fans in there, and he's reported back that his temperatures are looking good. And his 3070 barely fit in there, but it's performing really well. So he's super happy with it. And the next setup is coming from Brother V, and he's rocking the single monitor setup here. And he submitted the last two times, and I always comment about how much I love his 60% keyboard. And I also love how he put in that he's got a little pencil sharpener over here to the left with this external speaker and the chessboard. And I even reached out to him to find out where he got this Stonks poster, this banner, because at some point I'm going to have to get this because that is just too funny. I don't really have room for it right now, but one of these days I'm going to get that Stonks banner. And the next setup is a 25L setup, and they are rocking the old school obelisk logos for their desktop. And it's the all red theme. And one really cool thing that I picked up on this is the rear fan cover. He's rocking a rear 92 millimeter Noctua fan, but he got these cool little fan covers that go over it, and it looks to be like a woolly mammoth or something like that. So if you can comment down below where you got those are super cool and unique. And he's also rocking the Corsair H60, so I'm sure his temperatures are fantastic. And the next setup didn't have a description, but it's a 30L, and he's rocking the Omen keyboard and mouse combo here with some creative speakers on the desktop. And he's got his little pocket knife there down below just in case. And his setup also has a Cooler Master, excuse me, AIO. And we had a couple setups with this AIO, but none of them left exactly what model it was. So if you can comment down below with which model AIO that is, that would be fantastic. And here is a dual monitor setup, and I like how you used your lamp as lighting for the back. I think it looks really good against the white desk, and I really like your little bonsai tree over to the right. I'm a big fan of plants and greenery near setups, and I just think it adds a whole different touch to setups, and just super clean. And I really like his extended mouse pad that he's got there, and the wallpaper choice, and a super clean setup. And if you can comment down below with what that white speaker is there, is that the Bose speaker? I've never seen anything like that, so please comment down below with what you got going on there. And the next one is another horizontal and vertical setup, which I really want to try. And if this is either of your guys' setups that are running the dual setup with the vertical, please comment down below with how you like it set up like this, because I may switch at one point. And this setup's also got a 3700X, and he's got a Corsair H60 attached to it. And he's got a bunch of Noctua fans in there, so I'm sure that thing is running super cool. And this setup didn't have much of a description, but I really like how they have all these pictures of him and his wife or his girlfriend all around the setup, and he's got the custom mouse pad with their faces on it, which is super cool. And he has a confession that'll be upgrading to that case coming this next week, and by the time this is posted, he's probably already done. So please comment down below with how the swap ended up turning out. And the next setup is actually coming from my nephew Max, and he's got a dual monitor setup, and he has a custom built PC with a B450 and a RX 570 GPU. And his setup's really come a long way since I first found out that he was actually into PCs. He started upgrading everything, and he got a ton of stuff for Christmas to upgrade it. And a super cool setup. And I think it's really funny that he used the Dankamyouknow homepage. So bonus points for throwing those up for your setup submissions. And the next one's really cool because you don't see a desk setup like this very often. I like how it's tucked in the corner, and he's got the red accent lights going behind it. And it's just super clean and super unique. And he's rocking a 80mm CPU cooler fan. And this is my buddy Bailey. And he plays a lot of games with me, and his setup's super cool. So thank you so much for submitting, Bailey. And the next setup is dual 32-inch monitors, which is just absolutely huge. And I have two 27-inch monitors next to each other. So this may be a little bit difficult to use, but please comment down below with how you like this setup. But I really like the choice of wallpaper and the mouse pad lighting. Super cool setup. And he's also rocking the Chromax U9S, but he has it in vertical mode. And I tried this orientation, it just didn't work as well as horizontal. So let me know down below how it compared horizontal to vertical for you. And the next setup here, I didn't get much of a description, but it looks to be a dual setup. And I don't know how the Dell laptop comes into play, but it looks like he may do schoolwork or something, or some kind of work on the right and then game on the left. I'm not entirely too sure, but he's got a 3600, and once again he's got this unknown cooler master AIO. So please comment down below with which cooler that is, because I'm sure a lot of people would be interested to know that. And the next one's coming in from Luis here, and he's got a 30L setup with a single monitor and with a PlayStation 5 controller, and he's got a bunch of PS4 controllers over there. And he is also rocking the laptop over here. And I've always wanted to try a setup that's against the wall like this. I think it's super clean, and it looks really cool when you're streaming, because you can put like a bunch of cool stuff on the wall behind you. And he's also rocking this Cooler Master AIO, and he's got 6 fans in total, so I'm sure his PC is running super cool. And I really like this next setup because of the wallpaper here, and not the desktop wallpaper, but the wallpaper behind the entire setup. I'm not sure if this is like some custom wallpaper or what it is, or if it's like just sheeting that goes over it. But I think the contrast between the wallpaper that he's using, which appears to be Modern Warfare, against that looks really cool. And this desk setup's really cool with the step down with this PC over to the right. And the next one's coming from my boy Nick, and he's rocking a 9400F with a GTX 1660. And I really like the reflective desktop he's using. It almost looks like his PC and mouse and keyboard are almost floating. And I really like the IKEA plant he has over to the left. And I like the wallpaper he's using. He's really big into racing games, so he's got a Toyota Supra as his wallpaper, and super clean setup. Thank you so much for submitting, Nick. I really like the colors for your setup. Always super clean. And speaking of colors here, we've got an all red setup coming here from a 30L. And he's also rocking a Omen 27i monitor with a red Dragon keyboard. And it looks like he's got maybe some kind of speaker over to the left. I'm not entirely too sure what that is, but he's rocking the big boy 850K with a 3080 in his Omen, which is super cool to see that they're putting these new awesome processors and graphics cards into these pre-builds, which is nice to see. And I really like this setup once again for all the colors. I swear this setup submission has the most colorful setups compared to the last two I've done. So it's really cool to see, and I really like the purple background he's got here. And he's got, I'm sure, the purple case lighting going on his Omen. So thank you so much for submitting, dude. Super cool. And I really like how clean this setup is. And I've always wanted to try one of those mouse pads that he's got over there to the left, which is the, it's made by Razer. It's the Chroma keypad. So comment down below with how you like it, because I've always been curious and I've never tried one. But he's also got the Chromax U9S in there, and he's got a 2070 Super, and he's got a full-size 2070 Super, which you don't see too often in Omens. You mainly see 2060s, so super unique setup, and thank you so much for submitting. And the next one is coming in from my boy SimKid, and he's got a dual setup over here somewhat, and he's got his two monitors over to the left, and then he's got his TV over to the right. And the coolest part about his setup is his racing setup over here with his chair and the pedals and the wheel. And he's really into racing games, if you couldn't tell, because he's got a bunch of model cars up here, and he took a cool little picture of his cable management he's got going on over here. And if you ever want to check him out, he is SimKid on YouTube. He has a bunch of reviews up that are fantastic. And the next setup here is a dual monitor setup with a 30L. And if you can comment down below what the painting above is from, I'd be curious to know, because it looks like something important, but I don't know exactly what it is. And then when I first saw this picture, I could not stop laughing, because if you've ever tuned into any of his streams, you know he's quite a character. So this picture I got was just absolutely hilarious. So if you want to check him out on YouTube, his handle is Alex Tuttle. And the next one here is a 30L with a MSI Optics 27-inch curved monitor, and he's rocking the Nintendo Switch down there. And I also have a Nintendo Switch, so it's cool to see other consoles with your PC setups, because I still play my PS4 Pro and my Switch all the time. And in his setup, he's also got the Chromax U9S, and it looks like he also uses his system for some VR gaming with the Oculus Rift S. And the next one here is super cool, because I am a musician myself, not professionally or anything, but just as a hobby. But he's got a couple guitars over there with some bass guitars with a 30L setup, and he's got a 1660 Super in there with a 28-inch curved monitor. And comment down below if you have any recordings that you've done, or if you record through your Omen at all. I'd be curious to see what your music setup is. And thank you so much for submitting. And this one's really clean with the little shelf above, and he's got some cool lighting going on behind it. And I really like that wallpaper. I think it looks fantastic with the red going behind it. And as we get into the next picture, you can see he changed it up to the white wallpaper with the white around his mouse pad and on his keyboard, and the lighting behind it. And it's just super clean, and it's super cool how you can just change the wallpaper and the lighting, and it can look like a completely different setup. So super cool setup. And the next one is going to be a 3700X setup with a RX 5700. So it's exactly like my Omen 25L. And I really like this setup because he had to include that he's sipping on some Lagavulin 16-year-old in a stone old Guardian glassware, which if you've ever had Lagavulin, it is absolutely fantastic. And it's super top of the line and super delicious. So thank you so much for submitting. And I really like the plants that you had going on behind your setup. And the next one is a Ryzen 5 5600 with a 3070. And he swapped it all into this, I believe it is an NZXT case. And my only recommendation would be to remove the clear siding from the case over there, because it's got that tacky little sticker. But super cool case swap, dude. And I'm sure your temperatures are fantastic. And the next one is a 30L with a 3700X. And I really like this wallpaper. I'm not entirely sure what this is from, so if you can comment down below. But he's rocking a 2060 in there with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and he's got an 80 millimeter CPU cooler fan up there with a top mount 120, and it looks like he's also got a Noctua rear 92 millimeter fan. And this setup is coming all the way from Finland, and he included some candies down there that are in Finland and a lemon lime drink. I'm thinking it's sparkling water. I'm not entirely too sure what it is, and I don't even want to try to pronounce it, but super cool that we're seeing setups all the way over from Finland. And the next setup is coming from my buddy Nick, and this is probably my favorite setup of all time, and it keeps changing. He's been in, I believe, in both setup submissions that I've done, and it just keeps getting cleaner and cleaner, and he just got this Herman Miller embody chair, and this setup is just so clean with the standing desk and the ultra-wide. And this stain that is on top of that desktop is just super cool. And that light over to the left, both lights, the blue one that he actually made himself. So thank you so much for submitting, Nick. Your setup is, once again, I've said it a bunch of times, but it is so awesome. And this setup is super duper cool too, because it's super unique. And that monitor arm mount is super cool, which you don't see too often. And I really love the laptop stand over to the left. And it appears to maybe be a standing desk. Oh, it is a standing desk. You can see the controls over to the right. And he has case swapped his 30L with the 850K and 3080 into a 510 case. And that white PC case just looks so clean with this setup. And I just really love the all white setup. And I'd be curious to see what your temperatures are now as of. Well, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching. And like always, if you have any questions or concerns, to please comment down below. And I want to thank everyone that submitted their setup through the Omen Discord group. I've done 2 of these before, and it seems like each time I do it, the setups just keep getting better and better. So thank you guys so much for submitting your setups and participating in this video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a great day.